so many people in the States like make excuses about times of things and not being able to make it to live calls. Like Max is hopping on to 2 a.m. live calls on a weekly basis. Like some people break at that point and they quit, like unfortunately, and it's right before, like you see that image of someone mining or digging a tunnel and then they stop right before they hit the diamonds.
Greg, in your opinion, would you say that if it wasn't for the community, would you have quit? Do you think that would have been a thing?
Oh, hands down. It's like if I didn't have that community of other land investors and Max and his business to lean on, and it would be me in front of my computer screen all day.
We have a goal. We don't go to the bathroom until we hit 1 million. This is what we say every day.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Ron Apke, joined by my brother and co-host, Daniel Apke, and today we have two people. I don't want to butcher your name, Max Canavero and Greg Wilkins with us. Greg is coming from Syracuse, New York, Dan, and Max is all the way over in Italy, and that's one of the coolest things and why we wanted to get Max on in particular is he is doing this business model very, very successfully overseas. But let's get to it. Let's just start real fast, Greg. Like, what is your background before you got into land investing? You guys have both been in the program for about 4 or 5 months, it looks like. But Greg, what is your background before you got into land investing?
Yeah, hi guys, thanks. And first, I just wanted to say thank you so much for having us. So my background, actually, I've jumped around a lot over the years, more or less. Before this, I was a paramedic, and then I became a nurse, an RN. I've been doing that full time up until I'd say the beginning of this year. I started land investing. I found you guys and some other people last summer. Didn't really jump in or take it seriously, and I just did a lot of education. I was really just trying to jump in and figure out if this was like legit or not, right?
Yeah.
And that was in August. So since then, I've kind of just jumped all feet in, and here we are today. So, I mean, most of my experience is in healthcare, and yeah.
So you said you registered nurse. I know you are kind of taking some time off right now. Are you trying to go full-time land investing? Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was actually just talking to one of my friends today about that, and I was like, honestly, looking at the numbers with the deals that we currently have and with everything that's projected for this year, I mean, I'm already on track to do over 6 figures this year. So
I love it.
I'm
That's
excited.
awesome.
That's double my salary. So
So you're ready to roll. I love it. Max, what about you? What kind of got you into land? What were you doing before land?
I've been working for the same company. I'm in sales. I work for a big distribution company in the musical instruments market for over 20 years. And my family has a kind of little heritage on real estate. I mean, my brother was buying a slope land in South America and putting bungalows on the ocean already 12 years ago. And we always loved that, and at a point we decided to, the three of us, the three brothers, to get together and build this small company and get into the real estate. This was a couple of years ago, and we decided to do house flipping. And after a couple of months, I realized that working through brokers from Europe was peanuts. What I call peanuts is that you don't do enough money to make this business, happen successfully. And I said, guys, we need to do that directly into the market. And that was the point where I, started to look into tax deeds, tax liens, and that was the point when I got into the land flipping business, because there was a guy in Italy that was doing this since a long time, which actually then asked me to join his company as a partner, and then I started, with all the big guys following the podcast until more than 1 year ago. I found these two guys with the jackets, and and I said, I'm gonna listen to this podcast. And since then, I've always been land investing online. And then I joined in April last year, and then became an active member, I think, by September or October, more or less. And it is what I love, really. And I'm not sure I will be able to quit my 9 to 6 or 9 to 7, which is typically the time you work in Europe. But this is what I gotta do. I mean, whatever it takes me, this is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. Dan, what he's done, what from your perspective, Dan, like what Max has done and like how so many people in the States like make excuses about times of things and not being able to make it to live calls. Like Max is hopping on to 2 a.m. live calls on a weekly basis, like multiple per week, where he is on our calls at 12 a.m., 1 a.m., 2 a.m. From your perspective, Dan, because Max was an active part of the community before he was a part of the paid community. What has kind of been your perspective of Max in particular and his kind of journey?
Max's dedication's unmatched. Being overseas, so there's challenges when you're overseas doing this business model. There's a lot of different challenges, but then just being as consistent as Max has been. Along with that's something that's really stood out with your journey, Max, is your creative way of getting leads. I mean, you've gone from cold texting, warm texting, direct mail, and you've seen the pros and cons of all three of those. And I don't know if you've tried cold calling yet. I know you're starting that journey as well. It sounded like you're looking into it at least. But that's been another thing, your dedication. And then part of that goes hand in hand with that is you're just trying so many different things, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work, making adjustments. But yeah, like Ron said, we have calls Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Max doesn't miss a beat. Like he's there on the calls. He's putting his deals in for review, and he's 7 hours ahead, and it's literally 2 a.m., 1 a.m. So definitely unmatched there. But I did want to touch on that, Max, about your acquisition strategies. Talk about how your business model has evolved these last, I know especially these last 3-4 months, you're trying new things and going back to more blind offers and things like that. But talk about your texting and all your experience from an acquisition standpoint.
Yeah, it has been difficult. This is the truth because, when I seen the community, people trying to approach different kind of ways to get leads. And this is fine. But before you choose the way you're going to do the business, you need to put the hands in the dust. And at least, to me, test it with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 campaigns in order to see if this is working or not. And I had, the chance with the guys in the company, in the small company we have, to try to fix step by step the process in order to see how much was productive the time it was taking me in acquisition to get a lead. And that was based on the fact that we tried to switch into cold texting, cleaning the list, and then follow up 3 times, and then do the blind offers. Was a process that we decided to try because many other land investors are doing that, but it's less expensive. That was one of the main reasons. But I have to tell you, after 5 months doing cold text, when we clean up the list, we sent blind offers. We got 5 deals under contract with the blind offer follow-up. This means that I could be saving 5 months of really overwhelming job doing cold text because we didn't have the organization to do that. You need to do cold texting. You need to have at least 4 VAs working for you, because otherwise you are just giving everything for that. A cold text is not receiving the text and giving the offer and yes or no. It's not like that. Leads are giving you bad information. You have to go back 1, 2, 3 times before having the parcel ID. It's not simple, but you need to get on that to understand that it's worth to do blind offers and text follow up. This is my suggestion to people that want to scale before. Do this. To me, do blind offers and do then text follow up, because your time I mean, you can become an expert in accounting because I know Ashtabula in Ohio better than my town in Italy after doing all these texts. But the time you spend trying to get a lead, it's overwhelming. It's time consuming, energy consuming, and then you send the blind offers and you get 5 parcels under contract, which you can put things in place as if it was before. And you get anyway the deals. So cold calling was something we were gonna do, but now we decide with Greg to increase significantly the number of blind offers monthly, and I think we are gonna start in April sending. We just want to scale fast and do 8, 9, 10,000 mailers a month. So because I realized and I insisted with the guys, this is the way.
Nice. So yeah, Greg, talk about that. So you guys started this business separately, and it just kind of, you guys organically formed a relationship between you two, which is really cool to see because Greg, you're in New York, Max, you're in Italy. Obviously, Max sacrifices quite a bit in terms of time, in terms of sleep and stuff like that, with just communicating with you and everything. But he's obviously passionate about it and more than willing. But Greg, talk about how that kind of relationship came from. I guess you guys just started talking to each other on Discord, or what happened? Like, how did this become a partnership?
Yeah, so like Daniel said, it's definitely Max's motivation is unmatched. He's up till 2, 3, 4 in the morning sometimes over there in Italy just to make meetings so that he can be sure that he's got his business in check. And that's one of the things that drew me to working with Max. When I first started, like I said before, I started about 6 months ago. And when I started, I'm a true believer that you have to have relationships. You have to build relationships. You have to when you're learning something, you have to educate yourself. And I needed people that had been around and that could, help walk me through the steps. Because I know I'm going to make mistakes. I made a ton of mistakes my first couple months. Max was one of those excellent people that was always there to answer my questions. He was always there to, talk me off the ledge when I was like upset about a deal or like when I was, thinking about quitting. He was just there because he's been through it. Mm-hmm. And so that was one of the things that Max has always been great at. And I know he doesn't just do this for me. He's done it for so many others in the community. People reach out to him. People reach out to me all the time because they're comfortable and they see us in the community. And that's one of the things that I know Max agrees. I want to be able to give back. I want to be able to help the newer members because I was new and I needed that help when I first started. But I mean, like back to the question, our relationship just grew over that. We were, every time I have a phone call or a deal come up, first thing I do, I send it to Max to see what he thinks. And, it's the same with him, when he has a deal, first thing he does is sends it to me and we just go back and forth on it. And, I think, like you said, organically, that's kind of just grown into the friendship that I would call it today. I wouldn't, yes, we both run separate businesses, but we also partner on many things. Max's company was gracious enough to like some of the deals and they were able to fund some of my deals. So, we're working together on multiple levels. And truthfully, if it wasn't for Max and his business, I wouldn't be where I am today. So, again, back to just giving back and being able to work with him and work with his company and grow together it's an opportunity that I couldn't let up.
You mentioned one thing, Greg. You mentioned like Max, not even Max in particular, like you were maybe close to quitting at some point or like going through struggles. Like everyone does it, Dan. Like everyone has those breaking points. And if you just look back, whether it was 2 months ago, 10 weeks ago, whatever the situation was, like if you go back and like, I can't imagine where my life would be like if I quit. Like that's just thinking 10 weeks behind, whatever it is. But talk about that mindset shift, or like if you actually were close to quitting this business model, and like I know you said Max got you through that. Was it just some people break at that point and they quit, like, unfortunately, and it's right before, like, you see that image of someone mining or digging a tunnel, and then they stop right before they hit the diamonds. That's what it reminds me a lot of in this business. But talk about that kind of situation, Greg, and if you actually were close to quitting, or if it just kind of was something that came in your head a few times.
Yeah, so I mean, overall, I think especially when you're first starting, I think most people have that thought at least once, because again, you're still looking for that concept, that proof of concept. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm still trying to figure out, like, is this worth it, right? Like, I spend so much of my time, because, you know, I've heard it in many of your podcasts and other land podcasts. You know, this is a simple business, but it's not easy. And, you know, when you're right there, you spend X amount of dollars on growing and learning, and you're just not seeing the outcomes that you would hope to see. You know, I got to the point more than once that I'm just like, you know, maybe I'm not cut out for this.
Yeah.
Maybe this is just Greg's not cut out for this, and Greg needs to just go back to doing what he's doing and what he's good at and what he knows. But I mean, with that being said, I think there's that part of the unknown, right? It's like there's that next step, like you said. You're almost to the diamonds, you're almost to the gold, you know. And if I was to have stopped, who knows what I would have been walking away from, you know. And it really was just a mind shift change. It was or a mindset change. It was the ability to say, all right, this makes sense, right? I understand the business. I understand that I just have to keep going. Like, it doesn't matter what tomorrow looks like, you know. And this is literally the conversation that Max had with me. You know, like, we just have to keep going.
Greg, sorry if I interrupt you. I want to say this last Friday, because we always speak at the phone like 3 times per day. Okay, I give him the good morning, and then at dinner time when how did you sleep? So when Greg is feeling okay, I'm okay. So I call him every morning, his morning. So I was cooking, and we had 4 deals. Okay, so we went in 1 hour. Okay, from champagne to nothing and back to champagne in 1 hour. This means that we got the deal signed, we got the PA, we go, you know, everything is okay, but you need to have the right mindset to accept that this can follow one second to the other. You are happy because you have a deal, and I understand because I had it before, the obsession from the investor to have a deal, the famous first deal, you know, which is all that we want, to have deals. And if they fall, you have to be strong enough to, you know, continue, walk over every kind of difficulties you have and deals falling and stepping back from deals. That means nothing if you have the ability to keep the mindset in a winning position, okay? And it is what it is. It happens. I mean, you are speaking with sellers that change their mind every 5 minutes. So and difficult other kind of situations that you have to manage and just keep going. This you cannot stop at the first difficulties or 1, 2, 3 deals that fall apart or 2 mailers that doesn't work as you expected. It's a question of consistency and volume, you know. This is what it is to me.
Yeah, I mean, just to jump in and back on that, the deal that he's talking about, right? We had the deal. It was 30 acres. It was beautiful, and it was just one of those things. And then something happened that was unexpected, and we lost it. So it was like, you know, you're excited, and then within the hour, you're back to crying again. Then, you know, things get better. You get another phone call for another deal right after that one, you know. So it was really, it's really just the ups and downs of the business, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of, there's 2 types of, I think, failure, and you kind of touched on both of them. One type is like the proof of concept, that the business model doesn't work. I still question the business model. I sent mail. I didn't get anything. And then one is internal, which is I might, like you said, I might not be cut out for that. And a lot of people go through one or both. A lot of people go through both of those during the cycle of ups and downs and the obstacles that they hit in business. But that's where the community comes in. And yes, we sell a course, and we do all that, but the community is what brings people together and gets them to the next level. Selling a course puts you in a box. It tells you how to do something. There's so many other ways to do things, and things are always evolving, but the community's ongoing education. And this is a perfect example, you, Greg, and Max coming together and just getting you through the difficult times, because I think that's one of the biggest things with any entrepreneurship in general. And would you, like, Greg, in your opinion, would you say that if it wasn't for the community, would you have quit? Do you think that would have been a thing?
Oh, hands down. Land is lonely, and I truthfully believe that.
Yeah.
I'm currently in the process of stepping back from my full-time job to do this. And realistically, I'm not married. I don't have any children at home, so it's like I really just focused. It's like if I didn't have that community of other land investors and Max and his business to lean on, and it would be me in front of my computer screen all day.
Yeah, and another follow-up question on that, Max. You mentioned multiple times Max in your business, or in his business. What does your business look like, Max? What do you have? VAs? Any employees? You said you're doing some funding. Give us a breakdown of your general business right now.
Yeah, well, we are the guy Emmanuel and Omar are my two partners in Italy. They are tax deed experts, which is one side of our business also. And Emmanuel is the one that showed me the way, because I always love to say that a coach cannot take you by hand. The coach show you the way. Then it's up to you to choose, to get and increase your knowledge in what you love. And he asked me if I would be happy if my company with my brothers would be a partner and buy a part of their company. So we have these 3 people. Okay, they do. Emmanuel do entitlements. We are trying to get into that, but he's only looking after that. And then Omar is tax deed. And I'm on the land business, which means flipping and minor subdivisions, and that is the part of the business that in acquisition and disposition, it's me and Greg, okay, because Greg collaborates with me actively. And we have Mary, our VA, that she would manage REI reply for the texts, and eventually create all the property cards in our CRM. We use Notion, and also we try to teach her how to be behind lands available, which are the properties that after a tax deed auction stays on top of the county that were not sold. So we go and search for properties and ask ourselves why such a nice piece of property was not sold at a tax deed auction, and she's able to identify that properties for us and link us to the property so we can do due diligence and title search and eventually buy the property from the county. And Mary was a full-time employee, and then we decided to reduce again the hours, because it was managing only text was not worth the time we were paying Mary. So we kind of make a step back on what we wanted Mary to do, because a VA has to do scrubbing lists and answering to the text, answering the phone. Sometimes they have to do this. They are good at this, but trying to get Mary understanding what is the sentiment of the business is going to take a lot of time. Okay, so I remember a Sunday I was scrubbing lists to price mail, and Mary was answering sellers' phone calls and said, this is something that this is not working, because I should be speaking with sellers and leads, and Mary scrubbing the list. So we kind of change a little bit that, but it's working with Mary. She's very motivated. And so our business is right now in the company try to do flipping in minor subdivisions and tax deed auctions and lands available and entitlements. Emmanuel is finishing one now in Alabama, a huge one, and I mean we understand that that's a frontier that we want to go through, and it's full of opportunities under that side of the business. And it takes a lot of time and commitment. I don't know too much about entitlements, but I'm getting used to after sharing with Emmanuel all of the problems that he goes through doing this. And it's interesting. I mean, you need, as you guys said, you need to keep the business in more ways to make it work.
Absolutely. And the cool thing with both their business, really, Dan, but Max kind of took a hard U-turn away from like cold text, it sounds like, and just not really. Cold text can lead to so many bad leads and so many just time-wasting leads. And Max is also bringing his own niche in with understanding he has tax deed partners. He has people that expertise in that. And from the entitlement that Max was telling me about the other day, it sounds like he's buying for like $10,000, and he said a few years from now, like it could be worth $1 million. So like stuff like that, where you can turn, like you just understand land, and there's so much opportunity within land when you are pursuing those niches for sure.
Yeah. We spent 15 grand on a property that was I think northeast from Birmingham in Alabama. I mean, 20 minutes drive in the middle of a subdivision up on a hill. And the first question is, it was 15,000, and it was available. It was up on top of the county. And said, what is not working with this property that nobody, bid to have this property in their portfolio? And we did the title search, and nothing was. I mean, it was only a builder that he went bankrupt, and no of their heirs claimed for the title, and I don't know what was the reason why, but the property checked, and we bought it at 15 grand, 10 acres in the middle of this subdivision with double road access. Wow. And I said we have to keep it for 3 years before we can proceed, but it's $15,000. You can risk and assume the risk that you can work on that property, and you can hold it for 3 years because it was worth only 15,000. It's worth the risk. And these are the opportunities if you just look around and try to gain some knowledge on lands available and tax deeds. That's an incredible, potential that every land investor should approach, also to make a test on their capabilities of managing this position also, okay? You need to learn how to do an auction, okay? Everybody can learn, and then you can manage big ROIs also in, with infill lots, which is what happened. We purchased a property in Alabama for 1 acre for 2,000, okay, at an auction, and we sold it in 1 day for 18,000 because I put, the droner put the for sale sign.
So, Max, as you've mentioned, you've had a ton of experience in cold texting, warm texting, mail, all that. Greg, you're starting out. You're 6 months in. You're starting to go full time. Talk about your acquisition strategy, Greg. Direct mail versus anything else you've tried and what you're seeing. But also follow up with that. I'm curious about your future plans since you're 6 months in. You're going full time on this. Future plans in general, but also touch on your acquisition strategy so far.
Yeah. So I mean, I was there. Like I said, me and Max have a great relationship. I've been there and I watched Max with the texting, the cold texting, that is. That's something that I have not done. And for me and my business, I don't plan on it. Today, I just do blind offers. Realistically, I know there's a lot of different talk in the community about how successful blind offers are, and I mean, I did run some numbers for this, and I mean, again, I don't know why, and I'm sure I'm going to hit a plateau at some point, but as of today, I am about one deal every 1,400 pieces of mail.
Jeez.
Wow.
So that's kind of where, for me, I don't see anything happening, anything changing about my strategy moving forward. I'm going to keep sending blind offers and, just keep doing it. I know there's a lot of talk about mail slowing down and mail not working. Again, I do believe that every business is different. And I think that because there's just so many variables that can change the outcome of a mailer that we just don't know, like I don't know why I'm having a good success rate. I don't know if it's because of my mail. I don't know if it's because of something I'm writing. I don't know, like
Right.
Everyone's business is different. I just know that that's the numbers that I'm seeing. So that's my plan, is to continue with blind offers. I know Max does want to start doing follow-up texting, and that is something that I'm certainly interested in. Again, the texting business is completely different. It's something that I know nothing about, so I would definitely lean on somebody else that was more knowledgeable in texting when we get to that point. But yeah. And I guess the second question, 6 months. Yeah, we're almost at 7 months at this point. I just take my life one day at a time. I try not to, because I know emotions come and go and life comes and goes. And, I'm just, every day I wake up and I try to, what can I do to move my business forward today? Because again, I don't know the emails that I'm going to get. I don't know the calls that I'm going to get. And I do have a lead that I have to follow up after this call that we actually got. Me and Max were talking about right before this call. So I'm going to do that. And again, I just take it one day at a time and, just keep plugging at it.
Yeah, that's a good mindset to have because as just growth in general isn't a straight line up. There's ups and downs, but when you do that straight for almost 7 months now, and you're moving a little bit forward the dot every single day, and you look back after 6 months, you're like, wow, look how far I've come. And I love to get that point across. And I want to reiterate that because there's no exponential leaps that are going to happen in a day, in a week. You take small little jabs every single day, and then you look back 6-7 months later, you look back at the end of the year. It's like losing weight or anything else. You're going to gain weight some days, right? But you're going to lose weight most of the days, and you look back and you've gone 20 pounds. And it's just like anything else in life in general. So I wanted to retouch on that point. But Ron, go on.
Yeah, and also I wanted to touch base because I want people to understand who are listening, like while Greg might not be able to pinpoint the reason for his deal for every 1,400 mailers, it is not random. Like it is something Greg is doing, whether it's the mail, whether it's the pricing, whether it's Greg's at home today, and he's probably bothered right now by not being able to respond to this lead that called in an hour ago or something like that. Like if you have that determination, that's little things will adjust your business, and that's why some people listening might get a deal for every 5,000 mailers. Greg is probably going to fluctuate to 2,000 mailers, something around there, 2,200 mailers per deal, but he is going to always be efficient with his mail because what he's doing. It is not a random thing, success with mail, even though you might have some busted counties. Greg has had some busted counties, I'm sure, but it's definitely not random. But to finish it out, Greg, I just wanted to kind of touch base on what are your goals for 2024 and I guess beyond, but let's kind of touch base 2024. I know you said you're on track to make $100,000, but that's not enough. What are your goals?
Yeah. So today, I mean, again, I just ran the quick numbers for this because I've listened to a lot of your guys' podcasts, and I just wanted to have it here just in case we got to this conversation. So, I mean, realistically, I haven't set a ton of goals for the year because at this point, all of the profit that we have is projected. I'll be honest. I have not sold a ton. I've got 5 currently listed on the MLS. 2 of them are with Max and his company. I've got 2 in title that should be closing this week. Those look like they're going to be good. And then I have a potential double close on 175 acres in Maryland, which if that goes through is going to be
that's half of Maryland.
It's if that ends up making it all the way to the end, it's going to be a good one. So I mean, realistically, I just want to continue to build, continue to grow my systems, to be able to get things more in place. I'm not, the one thing that I've always been bad at is organization. So learning to use CRMs, learning to just bring other things in that can help further the business every day. I mean, I can't really put a number on what I'd like to make this year because obviously I want it to be as much as possible. Me and Matt.
It's not true, bro. That's not true. We have a goal. we don't go to the bathroom until we hit 1 million. This is what we say every day.
I love it.
Yeah.
But Dan, what are your thoughts? Like, some people set some people set such crazy goals and like they have no way of getting there. It seems like even though Greg doesn't have like set out goals, like he has the game plan to make high 6 figures, low 7 figures this year, in my opinion. But he hasn't necessarily said like I want to make $1 million. Some people say I want to make $1 million and have no game plan for how to do it. They kind of have the game plan but don't actually have an end number.
Yeah, it's lead measures are more important than their actual goal. It's what you're doing to get there, and then the results will come. You can say, I mean, people come in and they're all hyped up and their dopamine's hitting, and they join. They're like, oh, I want to make $1 million, but then they only send 3,000 mailers, and they wait 2 months to send their next batch because they're waiting for a result. If you want to do this and you want to do it right, you got to have a plan in place. You got to be consistent. You got to be dedicated to the business model, ongoing education, have a plan in place, which both of you obviously do. And I love that comment, Max. Let's touch on that $1 million comment you just made. What are your goals, Max?
Well, the first goal is to continue being consistent in the time I spend on the land business, which is, of course, all the time I can spend during weekends, and during the week, at least 5 hours per day. I mean, I'm sitting down when I don't have my kid. When I have my kid, I put him at bed, and then I would wake up maybe at 11 p.m. and then stays until 2. So it's 3, but I try to be like 5 hours per day. And we decide with Greg that we would price mail only during weekends, because otherwise it's impossible, because you have, like you said before, many things to do, mails to droners, answering. We try to do everything because Greg is spending 12 hours per day on the land business. I cannot do that, but I spend 5, 6, whatever I can until I have to go to sleep. I always tell Greg, well, it's 2:20. I have to go to sleep because tomorrow I have to. But together we spend like, if we put together the hours, we spend like 15 hours per day on the land business. Also, if we have other jobs, and that's probably one of the reasons why we exchange every kind of problem we have that we have to solve. Also, if it's Greg's problem or my problem, we just exchange, okay, the point of view, because I learn the double, okay, if I have Greg from the other side giving me another point of view. And so the first thing is to spend as much time as I can doing this, because this is what I have, this is what I want to do, okay. And I think the $1 million someday will come, because when we decide, from 3,000-4,000 mailers to go to 10,000, it's gonna come one day. It's gonna jump out some, home run deal or something that will let us scale in a way that we can increase, okay, mail. I haven't seen $1 from this business. I've put all in to buy properties. So one of the things is we're trying to buy as much properties as we can, picking the money everywhere, trying to buy as much properties as we can. And the only way is to send more mail. And of course, this requires more time in front of the, of the business. With the energy, if I have to sleep 4 hours, it's okay. I'm gonna sleep 4 hours because this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do because I love doing this.
Yeah, and a follow-up question on all that, because you guys are working, hours and hours together every single day. But you guys haven't met in person yet, correct? I know Max came to California last week, but he flew right over you, Greg, and he didn't stop by. You guys have plans to meet in person?
Not yet. I mean, every time I talk to Max and we get talking about it, he keeps telling me we're either going to South America or I'm coming to Italy. I'm not sure which one's going to happen yet. One of them's going to happen. I've been to Italy once already, and unfortunately, I did not get the pleasure of being blessed with the presence of Max. But hopefully, that will be sooner than later.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you guys coming on here. Like we've kind of said, you guys have been a valuable asset to our Land Investing Online community with your engagement, with you guys just like partnering, like just relationships. Like you guys are like why we built this as a community and not just a course. Like people building real in-person virtual businesses, everything like that. So I really appreciate everything you guys have done for our community, growing your land business, and all the time they've put in. Dan, it's definitely going to compound and work out. Like there's no doubt about it. But other than that, guys, if you have not already, hit the subscribe button below. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Spotify, listening on Spotify, Apple, share it with someone who could use this. It's really motivational to see what Greg and Max have done in such a short amount of time. Other than that, thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys. As always, thank you for joining. Please do us a huge favor and like and subscribe our YouTube channel and share this with a friend. It really means the world to Ron and I, but more importantly, it could help change the life of someone else. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next episode.